concept of their fully independent and sovereign state with Al-Quds as its capital. They also expressed support for the unconditional right of the State of Palestine to become a member of the United Nations. The Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, General Saad Shingriha, is starting a working visit of inspection to the 3rd Military Region in the south of Algeria. In his opening speech, Mr. Shingriha gave instructions to the executives and employees of the defense sector to continue combat preparedness in order to reach the level of excellence in all fields. Prime Minister Nadir Al-Arbawi has received here in Algiers the General Director of the International Labour Organization, ILO, Gilbert Hangbo, who is paying a working visit to our country. During the meeting attended by the Labour Minister Faisal bin Taleb at the Government Palace, the two parties examined the various projects and activities as part of bilateral cooperation, as well as issues on the PLO's agenda, notably the initiative of the Global Coalition for Social Justice. Mr. Hangbo thanked Algeria for its constant support to ILO and for its efforts in promoting social dialogue in terms of labour, hailing the decisions taken by the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, aiming at enshrining the social character of the state and achieving social justice, in addition to reforms related to the exercise of trade union rights. Now, the Speaker of the People's National Assembly, Brahim Boughali, has met in Muscat the Omani Deputy Prime Minister in charge of relations and international cooperation affairs, Sheikh Asad bin Tariq bin Taimur Al Said, and with the Special Representative of the Sultanate of Oman, Haytham bin Tariq Al Said. Majid Mila has more details.
A communique issued by the lower house of parliament indicated that during the meeting, Boughali examined the relations of our cooperation and friendship existing between the two countries, which work under the leadership of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, and His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq towards the strengthening and broadening of relations in all areas in line with a far-sighted vision. In this respect, he underlined the visit he made at the head of a delegation of deputies is part of the strengthening of channels of consultation and dialogue, the exchange of experiences and knowledge, in addition to examining ways and means of consolidating such a relationship. On this occasion, Boughali sent his condolences to the Sultanate of Oman for the victims of the floods which affected certain regions of the country, wishing a quick recovery to the injured. The Omani Deputy Prime Minister in charge of relations and of international cooperation affairs, Sheikh Asad bin Tariq, for his part, praised the level of the historical relations of friendship and the major link in the two countries, terming the Algerian Revolution as a milestone reference in the struggle for emancipation. He also hailed the honorable positions of Algeria in the various international fora, expressing his wish to strengthen and consolidate the relations through the exchange of working visits and to take advantage of the investment opportunities offered by the two countries in order to achieve the common projects.
And the Minister of Energy and Mines, Mohamed Arqab, has laid a foundation stone for a solar power plant and an electric transformer in the municipality of El Ghurs, in the province of Biskra. The inauguration was made as part of the two-day state working visit paid by the Minister of Energy and Mines to the province of Biskra. In a statement to the press, Mr. Arqab said that with the construction of the solar power plant, the wilaya of Biskra will be among the largest producers of solar energy in Algeria by increasing, on the one hand, the electricity production capacities and by reducing, on the other, the consumption of gas used for electricity production. To the Middle East now, where the UN has called for an international inquiry on the mass graves found in two main hospitals of Gaza, while the Israeli army pursued a strike against various parts of the territory. According to Palestinian sources, over 32 people have been killed and 59 others wounded in bombardments carried out over the past 24 hours, mainly against the refugee camps of Nusayrat, Deir al-Balah, in the central part of Gaza. This came as humanitarian organizations expressed concern at Israel's threats to assault the southern town of Rafah, where 1.5 million displaced people have sought refuge fleeing the fighting region there. They warned that any operation launched against the tiny and densely populated area would have disastrous consequences on the Palestinian population. Meanwhile, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, called for the setting up of an independent, efficient and transparent inquiry. He stressed international investigators must be involved considering the climate of impunity that prevails, while recalling that a very special protection remains a right for hospitals according to international law hospitals. Yesterday, the civilian defense in Gaza affirmed having digged up about 200 bodies of people killed and buried in the Israeli soldiers by the Israeli soldiers in mass graves inside the Nasser hospital in the southern town of Khan Yunis. In another development, the Arab League will be meeting tomorrow in Cairo to examine the latest developments in the occupied Palestinian territories, the application of the UN membership put forth by Palestine, vetoed by the US, and the attacks carried out by Jewish settlers against the Palestinian population in the West Bank will be high on tomorrow's agenda. And the health and education unions in Morocco are calling for the sector's employees to organize protests and sittings on the 1st of May, marking the International Labour Day. The protest is aimed at denouncing the bad working conditions, the low salaries and wages, and the arbitrary dismissals of workers, in addition to the exclusion policy of the Makhzen regime, as indicated by Farid Boukas, Moroccan researcher and dissident officer of the Moroccan intelligence services, contacted by Radio Altria International.
In reality, the protests that Morocco is witnessing, particularly staged by education and health unions, reflect the popular anger against the Makhzen policy, which has failed in all fields. In parallel, we see that states work in earnest to provide education and health care to their citizens, whereas the Moroccan regime tightens its grip on these vital sectors in violation of the decisions of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. Early this year, it sold hospitals to the private sector, and soon it will sell education establishments too. The protests did not start out of nothing, but they resulted from the marginalization policy, and we should not forget the dismissal of hundreds of teachers without any legal basis. In my opinion, dictatorships deliberately destroy healthcare and education to perpetuate their reign.
That was dissident Moroccan officer and researcher Karim Foukas. And with this, we come to the end of this news bulletin for today. Time now for weekly programs, starting with the cultural program on tourism by my colleague Jamal Silmani will be followed by the health magazine for today. As for me, I'll meet you again tomorrow. Thank you very much.
في طريق غريب مسافر حب يشوف زين الطبيعة والمنظر مدينة لمدينة داير.
Welcome to your weekly program, Destination Algeria. I'm Jamal Silmani. There are a number of great destinations in Algeria just waiting to be discovered. A curious mixture of cultures and influences. Algeria has something interesting to see in just about every city. The country is also the first largest on the African continent, so you can be sure that there are plenty of towns and cities to visit. Let's visit Algeria's fascinating destinations, you and I, together. There are a number of delightful little towns in Algeria that are well worth visiting. One of the lovely coastal towns you might want to know more about is that of Delissa. The rich and fascinating history of Delis in Algeria can be traced back all the way to Roman times. In fact, it can still be seen in the form of a 2nd century Roman ruin that is found near the northern entrance of the old city. Many of the other Roman artifacts found in Delis were taken to other countries and displayed in museums many years ago. Even in Roman times, Delis quickly became a powerful and influential city. It is thought that this original city was destroyed by either an earthquake or an invasion. Either way, the city was then rebuilt by the Arabs who moved to the region for political reasons. During this time, it was called Tidlis. Many centuries later, it was taken over by the Turks and became a part of the Ottoman Empire. During this time, there were many different tribes and peoples living in Tidlis, and the city continued to prosper. According to Juan Battista Montalbano, an 18th century Italian philologist, Tidlis was a very prosperous port that was home to a number of rich families. He attributed this wealth mainly to the area's wool and flax dyeing resources. The city went on to become a popular holiday city, with many entertainment and sporting facilities being built. After many years of sovereign rule, Algeria finally took control of its own cities and towns, and so Tidlis finally became a truly Algerian city. Today, Tidlis in Algeria is filled with interesting ruins, relics and artifacts. Its diverse history has given it great appeal, while its striking coastal setting and colorful sunsets just cannot be ignored.